In today's video, I'm going to talk about the concept of identity shifting and relating it to anxiety in particular. But first, I'll give a bit of background about what this actually is and can it work on something like having anxiety. Now, first of all, identity shifting is a concept that's grown hugely in popularity in the past, I'd say, couple of years. To me, it's very similar to the exercise or the meditation of stepping into a future self. Stepping into a future self or stepping into a version of you that is more what you would desire, or you have things that you desire in life. And this is where you visualize and use all your senses to envisage this future you that has what you wish for, and then stepping into it, anchoring yourself into that new person. And so identity shifting is similar to that, but there's more steps to it. There's more of a process to it. To me, identity shifting and the way it's practiced, the way it can be practiced, has more propensity to work because it anchors in more details. There's more of a process that you can't just do a meditation on stepping into a future self and then hope that everything shifts. Identity shifting is quite a commitment. In fact, it's a daily commitment if you're serious about what it is you would like to shift out of and shift into. Now, I remember years and years ago, probably about 20 years ago, I was reading, I think it was Paul McKenna's first book on hypnotherapy. And I can't remember what it's called now, but it was definitely his first book on just reprogramming yourself to be a different person, cope with things differently. And he did this future self exercise in it. So I took myself through it, and it was a revelation for the fact that I couldn't do it. I was envisaging this future self, this ideal self. And then when I tried to imagine myself stepping into her, it was like a wall came up. And this was so startling that obviously I came out with the meditation and then just thought, okay, what's this wall about? And I started to break down barriers that I had about actually coming to believe or daring to believe that I could be different or my life could be different. So I worked on that a little. And over the years, I've done various future self meditations. I've led many people through future self meditations. I think there might be one on this channel. If there's not, I'll do something about that. But identity shifting to me goes a lot further. And it's about, first of all, beginning to empty out or let go of where you are now. It's also about coming into the present moment. So there's an element of that Buddhist concept of that pause several times during your day. And this is mostly practiced as in you go from one task to the next, and you usually go from one task to the next without thinking, without slowing down. The Buddhist concept of the pause is to deliberately or consciously finish one task, take a breath in and out, and go, okay, I'm consciously going to the next task. And in this way, we don't become overwhelmed, bogged down. Our thoughts are still on the last thing we did while we're trying to do the next thing. It's a very ordered way of going through our life and our days. In identity shifting, this pause is a little different in that whenever you remember, you come into the present moment and go, who am I? Where am I? And what am I doing? And it doesn't have to be as formal as that even. It can just be a stopping and going, okay, this is where I am right now. This is who I am. And it brings us out of that constantly projecting outwards, rushing forwards, hurtling into potential overwhelm and stress, and bringing us right back into the present moment and right back into ourselves. Now, to me, I don't often hear about this step, but I'm adding it because I think it's the most important step that's overlooked. The fourth question would be, where am I at? What's going on inside me? Basically, what's going on right now? And this is where you just begin to take notice of where you are in terms of your state, your thoughts, your feelings. And if they're uncomfortable, then this gives you an opportunity to breathe, let go of them before they turn into overwhelm or anxiety. So it's a useful this alone is an extremely useful therapeutic tool. It stops that buildup of stress and anxiety from becoming worse than it needs to be. Now, that's the first aspect of truly going through quite a rigorous process of shifting out of anxiety. Identity shifting in general, these rules would apply to anything you want to shift into. And I will make more videos about this, but right now I'm focusing on anxiety. So you would come into the present moment, acknowledge exactly where you are right now, and say we're dealing with anxiety. If you are starting to feel a bit stressed or a bit anxious, you would acknowledge that and breathe through it. And once you were in that neutral space, because remember in that last video I said about going from negative to positive, you can't jump from negative straight into positive. There has to be an interim period of getting to a place of neutrality first. So once you're acknowledging where you are right now, breathing through it, letting go, and if it's unpleasant, also just disciplining yourself to not get caught up in what's going on, to not get caught up in any negativity, to come into your body and breathe through what's there. And if it's thoughts, if it's a lot of negative thoughts, this is where discipline comes into place. If possible, you just go, okay, these are my thoughts right now. That's okay. And now I'm going to let them go. So this is a process of emptying out what's there. And into this space, then you would begin to reforge a new way of being, a new persona, if you like. So if your goal was to go from identifying as being anxious, as an anxious person, what would your new persona be? It might be confident, peaceful, calm, having a quiet mind. It's entirely up to you. What's the most important thing to you? And in this process, especially if anxiety's been with you for a long time, you might have several ways of being that you'd like to move into. What I would suggest is, what's the most important thing right now? You could do this in steps. So the most important thing right now could be, I just want to feel more calm. Nothing huge, no big fanfares, no massive, massive transformation. Pick something that seems achievable. If it's huge and you've been a certain way for a long time, for many years, if you pick something that's almost outlandishly huge, your whole neurology will reject it. This is a way of engaging with the very real process of neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is when we can retrain our inner wiring, so to speak, not just our brain. Our brain does get affected with certain things we do or new things we learn, but this is about rewiring all of us to move into something different. So I would start with one aspect of what you would like to change about your anxiety. Make sure it's in positive language. And then there's two ways you could go about this, or combine the both. First, very simple, would be affirmations. Now, I'm not a huge fan of affirmations in the way they're generally practiced, because they tend to be repeated in a robotic fashion from the mind, and nothing will change. In this process, however, and you can feel the shift when you do this. Now, you could try this just now. Say we take a statement like, I am a calm person. You could say that to yourself and see how it feels. Now state your name. So I would say, Catherine is a calm person. So state your name and what you would like to be like. And in this way, you're bringing this right down to the level of personality. And this made a difference to me because I was watching somebody talk about identity shifting, because I've always done, for years, I've done I am affirmations, and I am as in the spiritual sense, that I am being that part of us that is never separated from God. And when I shifted, I tried out doing affirmations with I am, and then I tried doing affirmations in the third person. And it did make quite a difference. It's because that I am persona, I can quite easily step into it, but there are certain practical things in my life which I wasn't, which I'm still not. I'm still a work in process with many things, several things. So when I said the affirmation in the third person, it brought it right down into the here and now and into my life, myself, and my persona. So try it out, try out affirmations in the third person. And the other recommendation I always give, if you want to affirm something, is come into your heart. When you come into the heart space, so do a heart meditation. It could be HeartMath or the heart breath meditation. I've got videos on it here. Come into the heart first. Then from within this space, say your affirmations. So that's the first bit. More potent than that, however, is visualization. And this is a technique that's been used for decades. But it's very important in identity shifting, in which you will visualize being a different way. So again, you could start small. You could imagine yourself in a particular place where you tend to feel anxious or very stressed or frightened, and visualize yourself navigating that with more ease. And again, don't try to go for something huge. What would be a relief? What would be a relief? Say your huge, big, incredible goal for anxiety. Just think of how you would like to be in a few months' time or a year's time, complete transformation. Now dial it back to maybe 10% of that. What would be a relief if you were to go into a certain situation? It might be work, it might be social, it might be with family. Imagine just handling it 10% better and feeling that relief, feeling proud of yourself, going home and thinking, okay, I didn't mess that up. So think about these kind of scenarios that are believable with a little bit of work, and do a visualization for that. The most potent times to do visualization is, again, when you're feeling relaxed. So again, you could use heart-based meditations to get yourself into that state and then visualize something positive. Or you can do these as you're falling asleep at night. If you can do that, my mind wanders when I'm falling asleep. I find it very difficult to stay focused, but some people would find this very easy. Before you fall asleep at night, or once you're preparing to go to sleep, you can do this visualization, and that's a really potent time to set this stuff into your neurology. So when you do, if you're not used to doing visualizations, the more you engage all your senses, the better. So you visualize yourself being in a certain situation. And first of all, you watch yourself in that situation. And don't worry if you're not visual, because you're going to engage other senses. Then you feel what it's like to be in that situation. So what would the emotions be here? What positive emotions are there? And then what would you hear? Now, if words and people speaking are very important to you, what is something somebody could say to you that would be heartfelt, that would hit home, that would bring an immediate sense of relief and accomplishment to you. So engage all your senses and then imagine yourself being that person as if you're stepping into the body of that person. So that's identity shifting. To sum up, you would go through your day. Whenever you remember, you could set little reminders of emptying out where you are right now. And this could be as easy as, where am I? Who am I? And what am I doing? And then, where am I at? What's going on inside me? And then coming to a place of neutrality and into that place. And if you're doing this in between doing something and you don't have much time, you could drop a couple of affirmations. If you have more time, then you could sit and do a visualization. But even if you have a minute, if you just come down into the heart and affirm something from this heartfelt space in the third person, so you're seeing yourself as a different person. And remember, affirmations are always in positive language, either present tense language or becoming language. So it could be, Catherine is calm. Catherine is a calm person, or Catherine is becoming more and more calm. And of course, use your own name. So whatever makes more sense to you, try out different things, because different ways of wording things often has a different impact. Once again, thank you for watching, and I hope you find this helpful. And as I said, I am going to do more videos on identity shifting, but in the context of a much wider series of videos I'm going to do on reality creation, for want of a better term. So until next time.